are live at 5. I'm Paul Wontorek.
And I'm Ryan Lee Gilbert.
How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you.
October 3rd. Good to see you, too.
Oh, it's Mean Girls Day.
It is Mean Girls Day. I was going to ask you.
We'll talk about that in a minute. I didn't do anything to celebrate Mean Girls Day. Manuel Felciano is here. Tony nominee for Sweeney Todd, and done a lot of amazing things. He's on this cool new CD. I can't wait to hear about it. But let's talk news. Let's talk Mean Girls.
Yes.
Got to talk about Mean Girls every day.
Of course. So yes, to kick us, if you've seen the movie Mean Girls, you know October 3rd is Mean Girls Day. So obviously, Tina Fey got into a truck and started serving cheese fries to everybody.
There's a quote.
There's
correct?
a quote, yes, about
I'm
going to go get cheese fries.
Okay,
yes,
just making sure everyone gets the reference.
And then, she told him it was October 3rd when he asked. It's this whole, it's legend at this point. But in honor of Tina Fey, she just didn't get in a truck to sell cheese fries to people. Tickets for Mean Girls on Broadway went on sale today. You can get your tickets to that show.
So she surprised everyone.
She surprised everyone, and the cast did too. The cast came out. I mean, there was a big cheese fry party. But previews for that show do begin March 12th, 2018, and the opening is set for April 8th at the August Wilson Theater. So buy your tickets to Mean Girls. We all know you want to see it.
I know our social media manager, Caitlin Gallup, got an amazing photo with Tina
did,
Fey.
yes.
I saw on her social media. She could have brought us some cheese fries.
I know. I didn't see one cheese fry in the office.
It was this morning, so by now it could have been just like congealed, just like a hard shell.
Yeah.
The cheese would have been so good.
That would have been nice.
We're disgusting. Anyway, oh my God, you guys. Orphe is coming back to Broadway. She was just here not long ago.
She was just here, yeah.
And she was very mum about certain projects, and one of them is Pretty Woman. So she will be joining the cast. She's playing Kit DeLuca. Now, Laura San Giacomo played this role. I love her in the movie. She's fantastic.
So
she's the sidekick. She's the prostitute sidekick, the sassy
street
roommate,
smart one,
the street smart one. Orphe does things like sassy, street smart, and she sings really big. And Jerry Mitchell, who of course was her director for Legally Blonde, where she got her Tony nomination, and he's directing and choreographing Pretty Woman. And he gave a quote. And apparently Orphe's big song is called Rodeo Drive, which makes sense because in the movie, they go shopping on Rodeo Drive. So it sounds like, the big number, like the bend and snap. And he said that Jerry Mitchell, he heard the song Rodeo Drive, written by Bryan Adams, of course, and said, here's the voice that will make this song fly on Broadway. So we're going to get to see that voice on Broadway again next fall. But first, it's playing Chicago's Oriental Theater starting March 13th. And then it'll be at a Nederlander Theater, TBA, in the fall. That's right. Congratulations.
Way to go, Orphe. Children of a Lesser God is coming back to Broadway, directed by Kenny Leone. Me too. I haven't seen it. I'm very excited about this. And we already know that Joshua Jackson and Lauren Ridloff are going to be starring in that. We got some new names today as well, including Keisha Lewis as Mrs. Norman, Julie Serta as Edna Klein, Trishelle Edmond as Lydia, and John McGinty as Orrin. There you go. Like I said, directed by Tony winner Kenny Leone. And previews begin March 22nd, 2018, with an opening set for April 11th at Studio 54.
That's early casting. All the news comes in so early now, right?
This is a long time to... Every time it's like 2018. For so long.
I mean, it's just turned October.
I know, but it's just
we have a lot of time. Seems like we find out things earlier and earlier. I really want to read this book, Finding Roger. This is Rick Ellis's memoir of Roger Rees, his husband, who of course died, an amazing, amazing actor, director. And so he wrote this memoir. It's about their 34 years together.
Wow. That is
relationship goals, hashtag relationship
no
goals. And of course they collaborated on Peter and the Starcatcher, and Roger Rees won the Tony for Nicholas Nickleby, very iconic performance. And he was in The Visit. That was his final. He was sick when he was in The Visit with Cheetah Rivera. And of course, Rick Ellis, he wrote the book To Jersey Boys and the Addams Family. And what is he working on next?
He's working on Cher now.
The Cher Show. He's telling the story of Cher. But this book comes out today, Finding Roger. So download that or buy it in a bookstore. They have bookstores. Doesn't Amazon even have a bookstore now? There's still bookstores.
Physical
you get a hard
brick
copy.
And mortar bookstores.
Yeah,
from
so
Amazon.
check that out.
That sounds great. Cheers star George Wendt, who
Norm.
he was, I believe he. I didn't watch Cheers, but that sounds right.
Yeah.
He originated the role of Santa in Elf back in what was that, 2010. And now Elf goes to Madison Square Garden this holiday season. It's playing December 13th through the 29th. And George Wendt is once again playing Santa Claus in that production. And that was announced today. So Madison Square Garden, original Broadway stars, holiday season Elf. Sounds great. Make sure you get your tickets.
I saw him in it. He was funny. I mean, it's
great.
like it's sort of a cameo role. It's like the end.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Santa comes in. He has his big scene, and then it gets a few
Yeah,
laughs.
I saw him do it. I'm sure it's even funnier now.
Yeah.
You know, as time goes by. Any Aaron Tveit fans out there? I know. Hi, Aaron Tveit fans. Tonight he's at Yankee Stadium. He's singing the national anthem. We found this out. This is very important information. I don't want to miss this.
None of this makes sense.
It will be nationally broadcast on ESPN. Now, for all you viewers out there, this is a sports channel.
It is.
It's part of.
Mean Girls tie-in.
Huh?
She has that line in Mean
Oh,
There's a Mean Girls reference to ESPN.
ESPN. Look at that.
I think I have ESPN.
Wow.
Oh,
Thank God for Matt
she does. She
Ronan.
thinks she has ESPN.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Matt Ronan, for tying it all together. But ESPN is part of basic cable. You'll find it.
Sure.
And you can watch, and it's on MLB.com. That stands for Major League Baseball, I believe. It'll be at 7:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just before the first pitch.
Yep.
And
Aaron
I'm sure he's going to sound
singing for the
amazing.
country.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll have the clip up tomorrow on Broadway.com.
That sounds amazing. Leslie Margarita and Alex Brightman and a bunch of other Broadway rockers, including Roger Bart, Lily Cooper, Tyler Haynes, Constantine Maroulis. They're all doing this Rockers on Broadway, which is for charity, and that's happening at La Poisson Rouge on November 14th.
Excuse me.
And it's celebrating 50s rock. So Elvis, Buddy Holly, those guys, they're all going to be rocking out, and that sounds incredible. And directed by Donnie Care.
Donnie Care. Yeah,
that's right.
He started
Jersey,
Rockers on Broadway. He does it
makes
all
it.
the time. It's like a very well-loved, well-known benefit.
And
Happens all the
hosted
time.
by Ben Cameron. And then a few other things on the site. Broadway Balances America, a new episode of that, all about the On Your Feet tour, which we will be headed to the opening later this week, so be on the lookout for that. Also, pics from the return engagement of Tiny Beautiful Things at the Public Theater with Nia
Oh my
Vardalos.
God, have you seen this?
I have not seen this, and I keep hearing wonderful things about it. And I've read the book, and I know who Dear Sugar
I
is.
sobbed.
Did you?
Yes,
I mean, it's
I saw it. It was
sob-worthy.
beautiful.
I
It was
need
beautiful.
to. I need to see it. There are pics from that opening, and finally, episode 7 of Royal Misfits backstage at Anastasia with Christy Altamar. If it's not up on the site now, will be going up very, very soon. So you want to check that out. One more episode after this one,
Oh my God.
and then Royal Misfits is done.
Oh wow.
So
Sad, but they have to
That's it.
end. I mean,
they
have
do.
to
I mean,
end.
everyone has to.
Christy
every
Altamar's put
blog
her
has to
like heart
come
and
to
soul
it.
into
She
this thing.
has.
It's a
It
lot
has
of
been
work.
an art project.
She has to star in the show
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
She
she's
can't just
busy.
make home videos at home for us. I mean, we love it, but it's a lot.
It is.
Anyway, we're gonna take a quick
That's it.
break, and we'll be right back with Manoel Felciano.
Broadway's Come From Away is a Best Musical winner all across North America. This stirring and inspiring musical takes you to a place you never want to leave. Celebrate the best of humankind and the best in all of us at Come From Away, the remarkable true story of the small town that welcomed the world.
Time is running out to see War Paint, starring two-time Tony Award winners Patti LuPone and Christine Ebersole. Now through December 30th only. The New York Times says these deliciously paired Broadway legends are knockouts. These are two-star turns for the ages. Don't miss your last chance to see Broadway's once-in-a-lifetime event, War Paint.
Throw your rocks at me.
Baking a pie is easy, if you know how.
I'm still standing.
If only life were as easy as pie. Waitress is a hit, raves the New York Times, with songs by Grammy-nominated artist Sarah Bareilles, an uplifting celebration of love and laughter. Sugar, butter, flour.
Hey everyone, we are back on Live at 5, and so there's this brand new CD, Zippers, with a Z at the beginning and the end. And Manoel Felciano, the very talented Manoel Felciano, is here.
Hi.
He is, I guess you're this guy?
Yeah, I hope so, right
on the
now,
album. I guess
as
that's
of today.
you. Of course, I first fell in love with your voice when you were Tobias in Sweeney Todd, and that's one of many credits. Patti LuPone sang to you every night in that
I sang
production.
to her. Yep.
Yeah, Tony nomination. And recently you were in Amelie. You've done a lot of things, but this is a brand new. What is this? It's a brand new musical recording. What is it?
It is a brand new recording
Tell us about
on Ghostlight Records of Zippers by Nathaniel Stuckey with a libretto by Dan Harder. And Zippers is really a kind of new kind of musical. It's specifically written for the symphony orchestra and 2 pop singers and a funky drummer.
Wow.
So he calls it, and I think it's right to call it a pop opera or a popera.
Popera, why not? We're into that.
Right. And it is basically about a showmance. It's this guy and this girl who have to do a boy meets girl act every night.
Okay.
Except that one night something goes a little differently, and they start to fall for each other. And the great thing about it is that it goes in and out of the actual show that they're doing and their sort of internal monologue and what happens to them off stage.
Fun. Okay.
So it's meant to be programmed around intermission. It's a 2-act piece, and the first act happens before intermission, and the second act happens after intermission in a symphony concert format.
Oh, cool.
And the idea is that during the intermission of their act, they go back to her dressing room, something happens, and when they come back at the end of the intermission...
explain why I was looking at the liner notes, and it says at the intermission part of the plot, it says, ladies and gentlemen, please pause the recording here, take a moment to refill your drinks, talk amongst yourselves, the show will resume in 20 minutes. Yeah. And that must be because you want to feel the time that maybe a certain act would take? Is that what's happening?
And
is that
when
what this is about?
And when it's actually done in symphony concert halls, that's about as long as an intermission is, and you can get a lot done in a dressing room in 20 minutes if you're
Now, you know nothing of
properly
showmances. This doesn't happen between actors.
No.
Do actors have romance?
Exactly.
That's not a thing.
Especially when you're playing opposite each other. I feel like you end up either like loving the person or hating the person, or you just become best friends.
Yeah, I'm sure it's terrible when it's hate, but it must be nice when it's love.
But it can be hot that way too.
But all kinds. Sometimes there have been famous showmen. There's like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. That's a very famous. Anyway, there's Broadway ones too, but let's keep it to the Hollywood names.
Patty and
Safer.
Kevin Kline. There's a
of
great
course.
picture of them. What was it in the Robert Bridegroom? Is that right?
Yeah, I thought they were already. Is that what happened?
I
Did Patty
don't-
tell you some stories about
No,
Kevin Kline?
I cannot claim to know when the beginning of that was, but I did see a picture of that, production.
The
I
one
was
where
like,
he's shirtless.
The one where
there's a great photo where
asleep
she's
on her lap, I think.
That's
or
in the
something.
show. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, she sang to him and she caressed him every night. So, these things do happen.
Speaking of caressing, I just really want to caress your hair.
You can do it. I'm not gonna.
Spectacular.
I'll take caresses.
Wow.
I'm down for that.
I need to learn
Manoel
how to do
Felciano.
that.
So have you ever performed this?
Yes.
Like in a symphony?
Yeah. Several times.
Is it a fun show to do?
Oh, it's great because this is the kind of thing that symphony orchestra audiences aren't necessarily used to hearing. They're used to, if they get any kind of musical theater, it's usually like a pops concert or like a review or something like that. And this is a new piece written specifically for that kind of environment. And I think it's because Nat, who's the composer, got inspired to write more theatrically after we worked together on John Doyle's production of A Caucasian Chalk Circle, which he did out in San Francisco, and I hooked them up, and Nat wrote an incredible score for it that both the Charlies, McNulty and Isherwood, raved about, and he thought, maybe I need to start exploring this theatrical world a little more, and then I thought this particular piece would have a really good home at a place like Ghostlight, and full disclosure, I had never been on Ghostlight, and I really wanted to be on Ghostlight, so this was my way of making it happen.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations.
And, thank you.
You're on
Thank you.
Ghostlight.
Thank you, Kurt. And,
Dreams come true.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Kurt Deutsch.
And so it all worked out, and I'm thrilled for all of them. I think it's a totally unique piece.
And who's your leading lady? Who's Robin Coomer?
Robin Coomer is a Bay Area artist who was in a band called Loop Station and is just a spectacular pop singer who I got to work with.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
So what else are you up to?
Oh, man. I spent the summer out in San Diego at the Old Globe with doing a Robin Hood production directed by Jessica Stone.
Yes,
you
I
know,
hear it's
actress
fantastic.
turned director who she was amazing. I got to finally work with Kevin Cahoon after 15 years of wanting to work with Kevin Cahoon.
Look at all your dreams are coming true.
All
Kevin
my dreams
Cahoon,
are coming true.
Ghost
Exactly.
Light.
Yeah, which was super fun, and boy, is he talented. He's just was so funny.
Yeah, so what is that show like?
It's a Ken Ludwig, new version. So
tenor,
very, very funny, broad comedy, and audiences loved it, and it extended. And Kevin just completely steals the show in every scene he's in. It was my great honor to be the angry
You don't
straight
mind
man.
having it stolen from you?
To him,
Don't
not
mind.
at all. Not at all.
That's
no.
amazing.
And before that, right before that, I was in Amelie, and Paul Whitty, who was in Amelie with me, was also in this Robin Hood production. And now I am just seem to be going from one low-paying but top-secret workshop into another.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of top secret workshops happening
There's
right now.
a lot of that going on. The fall seems to be the season for that.
Yeah,
so,
everyone's doing top secret workshops.
You got to say yes, and you got to see what comes up and follow where they lead.
Yeah, awesome. So what are some of your favorite? Are there like songs in here that you like particularly?
Oh, sure.
Tell me about it. I'm gonna listen to the whole thing. I'm excited.
Yeah. There is the
And
moment.
I'll figure out what to do during intermission.
The beginning of Act 2 is when they come back from having been in the dressing room and doing.
What are they doing? They're reading lines. Is that what you said? Is that what they're doing for 20 minutes?
No.
Okay.
They're getting to know each other in a
getting to know each other.
very
getting to know your
intimate way.
co-star. Caressing.
Yeah, exactly. So the first number of Act 2 is called "Oh God, This Wasn't Supposed to Happen," which is often a first reaction after incidents like that. But the lovely thing about it is that it goes on through the evolution of a showmance, and this is a showmance that actually ends up working out long term. And I should say a little bit something about why it's called Zippers, because first of all, there's some, the sexual connotation. But more importantly, it talks about how the libretto is constructed so that most of the songs begin with either one or the other actor singing, and the words of one actor come out like this, and then the other actor sings their lines, and then they sing them together, and they fit perfectly together like this, like a zipper. So it's constructed in such a way that the parts individually make sense on their own, but then they have a new meaning when they're zipped together like that. And that is something that I got really excited about because, having done these Sondheim shows, you get really dorky about lyrics and meticulous construction, and I think Steve would dig the construction of this for sure.
You did a really good job of illustrating a zipper.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's not a button fly. Yeah, no, it's...
I really thought I was looking at a zipper. So what was it like appearing with Patti LuPone every night? I'm sure people ask you that all the time.
It was and remains to this day like one of the highlights of my career and something I'm incredibly grateful for. And she was so good to me, and she took care of me, and I didn't really know that much. I had a little of ignorance is bliss coming into the project, which was useful in that I'd only seen her perform once, and it was in The Old Neighborhood, which was this series of Mammoth shorts.
play.
So I'd never actually heard her sing until we were in the room together.
So you were the guy who had never heard Patti LuPone sing.
Exactly. So I didn't have like the crazy
You weren't like me listening to the Evita
factor.
vinyl over and over and over and over.
No, and I
just The Old Neighborhood.
Yeah, it wasn't quite until, after she was in Gypsy, and I'd never seen Gypsy, and she got me a ticket to the Saturday night show after the reviews came out on the aisle.
Wow.
And I had no idea what I was in store for, because on the one hand, it was this amazing, iconic piece, and with just the book to that show is just like spectacular,
Yeah.
And so there was like the one show going on, which was Gypsy, and then there was another show going on in the audience, which was like a religious experience of worshiping Patti LuPone.
Right.
And both were equally moving and entertaining to be a part of.
Yeah, that's what we like to do when we go see Patti in any show.
I can understand
it's
why.
Church for some of us.
I belong to that same church, that is for sure. But she was just wonderful.
Yeah. I just want to know, how did you grow up not having heard Patti LuPone's voice? Were you not into musicals?
I didn't know anything about musicals.
You just stumbled into Sweeney Todd, basically.
I had a mother was born in a different country, and a father was first generation, and musical theater was just not a part of my high school theater program. And wasn't until I got to college that I actually saw my first one, which was She Loves Me, starring Melissa Errico. And so I kind of fell into it backwards into Cabaret, which was my first Broadway show.
Yeah.
And that really got my juices flowing for what this art form was and what the career of acting could be. And Michael Hall, who took over for Alan Cumming as the MC, he really encouraged me to...
Hall.
Michael, excuse me, he wasn't Michael
Some of you know the C, some of the Dexter.
Yeah. And he'd gone to the NYU graduate acting program, and he encouraged me to apply to that because I didn't really have any training. I was just sort of raw, and I did, and that was another great decision. And and that's now what I do. And I'm excited about that.
And so with all that fancy training that that you did get, what was it like being in Disaster?
Oh my God.
Which was just like intentionally stupid.
That was like part B of my training because for me, just to be in that room and watch people like Faith and
Prince,
Roger Bart, and Carrie Butler and Adam Pascal, just you know, and a lot of them to see that how they work on their shtick, like to watch Roger Bart like finesse a bit is like that was like a paid education for me, you know. And Seth, of course, is, you know, our great ambassador for the art form and for Broadway. And I always feel like Seth could make somebody who absolutely loathes musical theater love it in about 90 seconds. I feel like he's that persuasive.
Yeah.
And Adam Pascal had been a big hero of mine for a long time, and just to be in the same room with that like Titanic voice was just awe-inspiring. So huge amount of fun.
Do you have any dream roles?
Oh my God.
Now that you know what musicals are.
Allowed to be roles that I am never going to play or too old for?
Of course, that's what makes it fun.
So roles I will never play because they've passed me by would be Tony in West Side Story. But I would love to play Harold Hill. I think I could still do that.
Sure.
The father in Fun Home.
Oh.
Which I'd love to do.
I could see that.
There's a lot of, you know, great new material. There's so many. Gavroche, of course. A little too old. I'd love to play Tevye, but that's probably never going to happen. But someday,
I can see
you
that.
know,
That'd be
who
great.
knows? And
you rock the beard.
Thank you. A dream role which I have played, which I would play again, would be George in Sunday in the Park. I would like play that part
I'm
pretty much
bummed I
over
didn't
and
get to
over
see
again.
That.
Yeah,
That's like an amazing part.
It was awesome.
If you want to sing Finishing the Hat right now, I would just sit here quietly and enjoy it.
Yeah, I got to do that with. Oh, speaking, loop back to Pretty Woman. I did that with Kelly O'Hara out in L.A. that Jason Alexander directed.
You did what? Oh, I think they did Pretty Woman with Kelly O'Hara. I'm like,
no, sorry, Sunday in the Park.
You did Sunday in the Park.
But Jason Alexander,
right?
Who of course was
Who's
the
in the
bad
movie?
guy, and
Yes,
he
the bad guy.
told some great.
He's the D-bag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some great stories about the shooting of that movie where they didn't really know what kind of movie it was going to turn into because apparently the script is
it's like darker.
Exactly.
Yeah, it started as a really dark script.
Yeah, and he said that they had no idea, and the only person who knew was Gary Marshall, and he just like knew exactly what he wanted, and he would keep the cameras rolling on Julia after they had yelled cut, and all these, until he would get exactly the performances and the movie that he wanted, and he was right. And
he had a lifelong dream ever since then of making it a musical.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had a dream for years of making this a musical.
Well, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deborah wants to know about Superstar. Was that fun? You did She's Got Superstar.
Oh my God, super fun.
You were an apostle? What were you?
I was. I covered Judas, and I went on a couple times a week, and that was a very fraught production.
Which production was that?
It was the 2000 production?
Yeah.
2001. 2000.
At the Ford Center.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, where they replaced the Judas halfway through.
Yes.
And I actually had to go on in the middle of Act 1 at one point, which was
you're Judas.
Yeah, well,
go.
That's literally like the stage manager. Like I came off to like go put the rags on for the temple scene or something, and they were like, "No, you're gonna come with us, and you're gonna put these pants on and this leather jacket, and you're gonna be Judas for the rest of the show." And I was like, "Okay, but I gotta go do the temple scene." No, you're not gonna be in the temple scene.
Wow.
And I had no put in, I had no rehearsal. I knew all of my lyrics, and I knew the songs, and I knew the blocking, and it's a testament to Patrick Vecchiarello, the music director, who said, "Be ready." And because that was my first time covering, a big part, and the assistant director, Kevin Moriarty, who now runs the Dallas Theater Center, who had worked with me. I remember in the basement of the Ford Theater, we would map out where the blocking was on that crazy carpet down there.
Right.
And I went on, and it went off without a hitch, and Tim Rice was there in the audience that night.
Wow.
And came backstage afterwards and was very kind. But it was a
Cool.
real baptism by fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Baptism. See that? See that?
Yep.
Good
Be
choice-
ready.
Good choice of words,
You
though.
never know.
Okay, Manuel. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you.
We have to wrap this up.
Okay.
Everybody, check out Zippers. It's available now, right? On Ghostlight?
Yep.
Ghostlight
and
Records.
iTunes
You
and
can
all
download it.
streaming and
Figure out what to do during intermission between tracks 9 and 10.
something.
Respect the author's intention, and please do not play through. At least take a breath.
Indeed.
Just take a breath, even if you just pause.
Exactly.
Just pause it for a minute.
Get a drink.
It stars Robin Coomer and Manoel Felciano, and I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you
so
so much.
for being here.
I
So good to
appreciate
see
it.
you.
All right.
We'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock with another amazing guest. Bye.